Hey everyone, this is my review of the Brydge Pro versus the Apple Smart Keyboard Folio with i-Blason Halo V2 cover for the iPad Pro 11-inch. This video is my personal opinion of the two, and I won't be laying down all the specs of each offering, just giving you my opinion on each. I will also be giving a definitive answer on which I think is a better option. I'm not a tech reviewer, just a guy who wanted to use my iPad Pro in the best mode of use that exists today. I'm not sponsored for this. I bought everything here with my own money, so I can say that this is a completely unbiased comparison. This video also ignores prices for the most part and is for people who aren't concerned about the price of either setups and just want the best for their iPad babies, so that won't play a part on my final verdict. But for anyone interested to know, you're going to spend more money for the Apple Smart Keyboard setup with the i-Blason Halo V2 case. My daily use of the iPad Pro 11-inch consists of around 2 hours of entertainment consumption, which includes games and Netflix, about 30 minutes of task management throughout the day, an hour of doodling and painting, and an hour of serious design work and maybe 20 minutes of journaling. Although the iPad Pro does not completely replace a desktop for my design work, I try to use it for what I can simply because work is much more fun for me on this device. I'll do another video on how I use my iPad and what apps I use in the near future, so if you're interested in that, subscribe to my channel and get notifications, and you can probably unsubscribe after that video because who knows when the next one will be. I tested the Apple Smart Keyboard Folio first, without the Halo V2 cover for 2 weeks, and then the Brydge Pro for 2 weeks, and then the Apple Smart Keyboard Folio again, this time with the Halo V2 cover for 2 weeks. And these are my pros and cons I came up with. Starting off with the Apple Smart Keyboard Folio, the main reason why I didn't initially order it was because the Brydge Pro keyboard offered more features and more protection than Apple's Smart Keyboard Folio, which attaches through magnets, which while strong, is not 100% secure. It actually takes little force to detach it, and while this can be seen as a pro rather than a con, as you can easily switch cases or just take it out to use your iPad alone, for me, it didn't give me a sense of security holding it, bringing it out, and carrying it like I would carry a book under my arm or in my hand. With just the Apple Smart Keyboard alone, I would advise to keep it in your bags most of the time, which is why when I saw the solution, I jumped on it and ordered the i-Blason Halo V2 cover for the Apple Keyboard Folio and iPad Pro. The cover solves the issue of it falling off easily, but makes the Apple keyboard cover a more permanent fixture, but I happily trade that off for the security it provides to the iPad. On top of just holding it in place, it does protect half the keyboard folio and cover the sides of the iPad Pro, which is also a plus. Overall, the iPad Pro 11-inch, Apple Smart Keyboard Folio with the i-Blason Halo V2 cover, and Apple Pencil weighs 800 grams, which makes it a lot more portable than the Brydge Pro setup, which weighs in at 1 kilogram with everything attached. It may not sound like a big difference, but I definitely notice it when using it on my lap for an extended period of time for entertainment, and when hitting out, it just makes me a little less inclined to bring it out. When moving between rooms in my house, the weight also makes it less convenient for me to bring it around. On top of this, the Apple keyboard setup is also noticeably thinner with everything attached, so it fits into my small shoulder bag a lot easier. Sadly, the Apple keyboard setup doesn't provide the perfect viewing angles for me to laze in bed and stream anime or whatever weep shit I'm into at the moment. Due to its limited 2 viewing angles, it's mostly suited for desk use, although it does do okay if you sit up against a wall or on a chair and use it on your lap. I find that it's a little bit irritating to do so because the keyboard weight doesn't hold it firmly as you type, and the whole thing just bounces around as I type due to the heavier iPad and lighter keyboard. This is more apparent with the Halo V2 cover, which adds some weight to the iPad segment of it. It's also good to note that the i-Blason Halo V2 cover protects the side of the iPad unlike the Brydge, which leave them exposed. Okay, I did say that the Apple keyboard setup comes with only 2 viewing angles, but something you'll never see in another review until today is the mention of this magical viewing mode I discovered myself. This could be useful for people drawing or even viewing things more privately, as it even hides what you're viewing to people across the table. Okay, that's pushing it. With the Brydge Pro, the iPad becomes the perfect entertainment device for me to use in bed, or sometimes even work or type journal entries right before I sleep. It doesn't shake or wobble when it's in my lap, unlike Apple's offering. On the desk, it works exactly like a laptop without a trackpad, which although you hear being mentioned and complained about a lot in other reviews, does not bother me at all. To me, the iPad is designed for the Apple Pencil, or to be used with my finger directly. It not bothering me could be due to it being a small machine, as I have the 11-inch model. Moving my hands around the tiny screen doesn't take up much more work than using a trackpad and offers a more intuitive experience for me. The Brydge Pro did spoil me in some regards. It provided a dedicated home button, a backlit keyboard and media controls, which I can say reduced the amount of reaching for the screen I had to do. I mostly just love the dedicated home button because it's placed right where an escape key would be, which is so intuitive. I don't know how Apple missed this. The dedicated Siri button is nice, but I rarely found myself using it even with Type to Siri enabled. The backlit keyboard was useful in the dark when I was viewing movies or journaling right before bed, which is quite specific to how I use it. But I can see it coming in handy on a plane or in Luigi's mansion. The Brydge Pro needs to be charged through USB-C. It advertises up to a year of battery life without the backlit keys. But let's be honest, if you get the keyboard, it's going to be for the backlit keys as well, so you're going to use it at least sometimes. In my personal use, it took me 2 weeks to get the battery down from 95% to 80%, so it looks like I won't have to charge it for quite a while. And even if you do need to charge it on the go, you can use the iPad to charge the Brydge Pro. The Brydge Pro also connects via Bluetooth, which actually caused some noticeable delay on typing. Sometimes it was more apparent than other times, and sometimes I found that the keyboard just wasn't typing it and I couldn't find out why. But this could be just an issue with mine, and the latency was never unbearable. These two downsides are not present on the Apple Smart Keyboard Folio because you connect through the smart connectors, which provide charge and connect it automatically. It's not a big issue for the Brydge because the connection is almost flawless, and you only ever need to set it up once. But it is a nice convenience to just never need to charge it. And then there's the Brydge Pro's keyboard. I was really looking forward to using a keyboard with clickier, tactile keys, and because people were touting this as a full-size keyboard essentially, I had high hopes for it. To my disappointment, I found myself mistyping more on this than Apple's keyboard somehow, even in the dark. My fingers got used to the Apple Smart Keyboard's layout faster, and at the end of 2 weeks, I was still struggling to get my keystrokes right with the Brydge Pro. To make things worse, the keyboard sometimes misses your input when you don't bottom out the keys, which is very hard to get used to. I heard other reviewers talk about this, but none of them emphasized just how serious this was. I will continue to use this to see if it improves, but as of 2 weeks in, I still can't. I just don't like these keys. When comparing the sizes of the keyboards, you'll be surprised to find that Apple's keyboard actually takes up just as much space as the Brydge Pro. So the unintuitiveness could be a result of less spacing between the keys on the Brydge Pro as compared to Apple's keyboard. The Brydge Pro also clamps onto the iPad in a way that doesn't feel safe for me. It's tight, but maybe too tight. I hear that it'll loosen over time, but that doesn't sound good to me either. I want it to be tight enough and not loosen over time. It feels slightly dangerous for my screen protector taking it in and out, so for the most part I kept it in. Sometimes they even leave slight scuff marks on the protector as well when I remove it. The Brydge Pro doesn't provide any protection to the Apple Pencil, which also makes me less likely to hold it while walking outside because I'd worry about dropping the pencil. As for protection from scratches, I have a rubber casing for the pencil so it doesn't bother me. These are pretty expensive solutions, but like I said, this review is for people who don't mind the price but just want the best for their iPads. In conclusion, in my personal use case, the additional features of the Brydge Pro provided me with two major advantages. More viewing angles that give me more control and more comfort for use for entertainment on my lap and in bed, and a dedicated home key. I wouldn't count the keyboard's backlit keys as a big advantage because even without the backlight, the ergonomics of Apple's solution allowed me better typing in the dark naturally, and I didn't miss keystrokes, unlike with the Brydge Pro. The Apple Smart Keyboard Folio with i-Blason Halo V2 setup provides more protection to the iPad and to the Apple Pencil, but most importantly, it keeps it a better portable device, one that I would bring around more often for my use case. It doesn't have as satisfying clicky keys, but at least they type what I needed to intuitively. Apple Smart Keyboard Folio also connects to the Smart Connector, which means you'll never need to charge it. If I had to pick one, I'd go with the Apple Smart Keyboard Folio with the i-Blason Halo V2 cover, because while the Brydge Pro does make the iPad Pro more like a MacBook, that's not really why I bought the iPad Pro for. I bought it to be a portable machine, and despite the added weight, the Brydge Pro offers two little advantages in exchange. It doesn't give me enough reason to sacrifice that portability. So for me, I'll definitely be using this more and recommending this setup to my friends. With the advent of iPadOS, I hear that a lot more shortcuts are coming, and I'm sure Apple is designing that with their official keyboard in mind. Hopefully, this provides better shortcuts to make it easier to use without needing to reach for the screen more.